Going on, Governors? Chisgule here, and today you're going to be watching the 330 million power Ticklefist get rallied multiple times by multiple rallies. I think it's a pretty crazy idea that you can rally a player who's online and try to zero them, but the folks from 114 haven't figured out that he is, in fact, online yet, and even after there are some pretty major clues that he is, they kind of don't care and they just keep going. In this video, we'll break down what we think of the combinations that are used here, some ways that you can prepare your own city for defense, and honestly just appreciate the absolute carnage that comes from 330 million power doing area of effect damage with a Theodora, and of course also that Zenobia primary boosting all damage by 30%. Wow. I mean, there are some skill cycles where he is doing north of 400,000 damage from AoE when you add it all up, which is just completely insane. Now, what you're watching in this instance is some rally combinations that are certainly unusual. That was a Nebu with Esong that was tanking. You don't normally have an Esong rally tank, especially when you've got also an Attila Takeda rally present. I will say that Nebuchadnezzar boosts counterattack damage by 30% on the third skill, and also Nebuchadnezzar will do some skill damage based on being attacked. So having Nebuchadnezzar take damage is important, but the Esong secondary is certainly an interesting choice, and I kind of wonder here if maybe a Mehmed wouldn't have been better. If we look at the next rally that's now taking the full focus of the city, that is a Ramses with probably Nebuchadnezzar's secondary. In fact, I can see him on his pedestal there. That, to me, actually makes a lot of sense. Ticklefist down to 317 million power, and he was online. He knew this was happening. He does not care about the power that he's losing here because he knows that his trades are certainly going to be positive and are likely going to be very positive. In fact, we did the math on all of the kills he did versus he will take throughout this entire set of shenanigans, and he's going to trade about 2.4 to 1. So for every million power Ticklefist is going to lose, he's going to take 2.4 million power off of the attackers. And some of these first attacks are some of the best ones. There, the Attila Takeda rally dies out. And the Attila Takeda is just so good for hitting cities, for inflicting dead troops, and just making the hospital completely overflow that, okay, you can use it and not tank with it, but 40% of the damage that rally is going to deal is from counterattack damage. Obviously, in a world in which you've organized these rallies in the right sequence, the Attila Takeda is tanking, not the Nebu Esong. And you might make some switches there where it's not an Esong secondary, but probably a Mehmed secondary would be better, even though the Nebu is probably fine. I might even make an argument that, well, you might have tried to go for some debuffs on the city, but with a Theodora in there, it's kind of tough to negotiate. She's going to clear all those debuffs off. So some debuffs probably would work. Like, I think an XY with Chandra still would have been a really good rally here. And on the topic of rallies, they've canceled the third rally that was on Ticklefist City. He's got the general. We probably could have just given him the king in this instance. He is in the Lost Kingdom, in case that wasn't clear. So he's still in KvK. He's down to 308 million power. And to show how insane this is, people were pointing out that he had 0 Mightiest Governor points before this started. So I thought, oh, wait a minute. So if we go look now at the Mightiest Governor, how many points is he going to have? Take a guess based on what you saw so far. 97 million points, okay? He just picked up about 97 million points in Mightiest Governor from near 0 to where he's at now. Ooh, here comes that rally that they set. Okay. An Attila Takeda leading makes sense, but a single Attila Takeda unsupported is definitely going to be problematic. Ticklefist healed up a little bit there. There's definitely somebody just standing in the AoE. You can see them getting completely wrecked over here. Oh my gosh. 2 marches just completely destroyed by the AoE. Ticklefist gets a shocking amount of value in these rallies from just pure AoE damage. That single Attila Takeda rally is, I mean, doing its thing, but it just can't handle the heat. It's 330 million power. The skill damage from the other rallies really does a very good job of rapidly reducing the number of troops that are in the city because they're going to be slightly wounded, which makes it a lot easier to handle. Yeah, so that rally melted. We've got all these reports at the end, by the way. Ticklefist barely took a scratch from that, so that's pretty much all upside for him, and I suppose a little bit of hospital. I'm pretty sure we have that report, and it's pretty nutty. I took a quick look at his stats. He's got 59 million dead troops. I mean, yeah, Ticklefist is he's a whale in Rise of Kingdoms, make no mistake. Here is the next set of rallies. Now they've got the Ramses with Nebu tanking. I think that's a fine choice to tank. Ramses gets better when he's being attacked. I think there's a 10% chance to trigger 40% attack when he's being attacked, but he has to be attacked for that to happen. Also, the third skill of Nebuchadnezzar, as we were describing earlier, giving a huge amount of counterattacks relevant. Oh, looks like they broke that rally. Now they're getting a little bit more organized, looking to cheese the AoE damage from the city by putting 1 troop marches all around the city. So for those of you that don't know, there's a 15% damage reduction to the AoE for each march that gets hit. So if they fill with a bunch of 1 troop marches around the city, then those marches will get hit by the AoE and then reduce the damage by about 15%. It's a good tactic. It truly is. It's a little funny that they went to the trouble of doing that, but didn't create some marches to buff their own rallies. So no, they have full field control. No one is doing anything to control this field. We can't. Ticklefist is in territory where we can't teleport. He cannot be helped. He's fully on his own. So like some Joan of Arc buffs, Constantine. I mean, I get it. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but that definitely would help a lot when you're hitting a 310 million power city. Now, in this case, there's a couple rallies running here. One off to the side is Nebu Isong again. They've also got a Guan Leo, and that silence is really important. I mean, it's funny. I made a video showcasing just how good multiple Guans hitting a city could be. I'll have a card up in the top, my highly irregular KvK moments video. It talks about just a swarm on a city with a bunch of Guans, and they silence the city for, I think, 30 seconds. So I would make an argument here that you could rally a city with like 3 Guan rallies, and you could probably get a pretty good silence chain going on several occasions. I actually think there's something to be explored there by hitting a city like this with a bunch of Guans, and then they just can't use their active skills because they're so constantly silenced. But one rally, you saw it off to the side, got knocked out. Whole bunch of these 1 troop marches are getting hit and are being deleted. So you can see that AoE slowly chunking away, the marches that are off to the side here. And these folks just working on this city, reinforcing those rallies. I guess they must not have been evenly split across the 3 alliances to keep all 3 rallies running. The Leonidas, by the way, typically a commander you'd want to be tanking, because when he's hit, he has a chance to proc a shield, which, I mean, isn't going to happen when he isn't being hit. Right now, I think the Ramses Nebu is a better tank rally anyways. I kind of wonder if maybe Herald as the secondary didn't just make more sense for that combo. Right? Like, the AoE from Leonidas is not relevant. The tankiness from Leonidas is good. But I feel like perhaps the Herald secondary would have been really good in this instance. Ticklefist getting pretty low here. He's down to 278 million power. Keep in mind that I've already done the math on all these reports, and this is the part where the enemy team is getting the most value for sure when Ticklefist is getting low. And a part of what makes this so much more easy than it used to be to rally a large player is the Season of Conquest technology, because it boosts your rally capacity by, I believe, 50%. So these rallies are somewhere in the realm of 3.4 million troops, whereas normally they would be in the realm of 2.4 or so if you're in home kingdom. That's in part, I think 2.2, 2.4. That's in part because of your alliance buffs, okay? And then your max rally capacity is typically 2 million, modified again by your alliance technology. So the Heroic Anthem and Season of Conquest in general technology goes a long way. At this point, he's not taking great trades. He's down to 271 million power, almost 272. Of course, some of that is in the hospital. He'll get that back. And overall, he took about 132 million power off of them. He lost about 55 million power himself. And his mightiest governor kill event score, 212,000, almost exclusively from killing troops right here from these rallies on his city, which is just crazy. But let's go and get a look at the reports I have. I don't have all of them, but I have most of them. Okay, it's report time, baby. And there is, I think, one report missing. I did some math around the kill event points that Ticklefist got, and according to his kill event points, he got about 132 million power worth of kills off these guys. And he himself lost about 55 million power permanently. But in the reports, when I add everything up that I have here, it's about 120 million power worth of dead troops for them. So I think that there's probably one report missing, probably from a captain swap, if I had to guess. But, you know, when you're getting scout bombed like crazy, sometimes you miss a report or two, and I've certainly had that experience. So Ticklefist sent me these reports, and I just think it's pretty funny. He was just like, oh, yeah, you know, I was just eating dinner or whatever, and they rallied, and, you know, I just figured, what the heck, I'll just take the rallies. So let's just get a look at these reports here, okay? We cruise on down here. First rally on his city. 536,000 dead for Ticklefist. 6.8 million power loss. Again, keep in mind that a bunch of that is Sev wounds that are in the hospital. 2.329 million dead troops for the attackers. 18.8 million power. Boom. Gone. Forever gone. The next rally, Ramses Nebu. This one was not tanking at the start, so it did better than the other rally. And I think this is a good combo to be hitting a city, especially if it's tanking. It gets a lot of benefits, which does happen later on. 16.3 million power loss for Ticklefist, 1.666 million dead troops, and that is 2.274 million dead troops for the attackers, 18.9 million permanent power loss for the attackers. Then there's a bunch of AoE in these reports. I mean, people just standing in AoE getting completely sauced. It's like 2.2 million power permanently gone over there, 1.2 over there. Here's the Attila Takeda. Like I said, it really should be tanking. 220,000 dead for Ticklefist from the Attila Takeda, 2.3 million power loss. 9.7 million power loss for that Attila Takeda rally, 1.142 million dead troops. These are, I would assume, mostly T5s. There's a few T4s, which is kind of interesting. They don't have T5s. I wonder why they'd send T4s. Anyways, yeah, totally nuts. Ticklefist, of course, using that Zenobia Theodora combo there. And if we just get a quick look at the buffs, get a look at Ticklefist's stats over here, I will say that I think still YSS with Theodora is the better pair for defending your city. So I think that if you knew your city was about to be rallied and you move your gear over and you had the right build set up, that probably the YSS Theo is the better choice, just because you get so many stats. Like YSS buffs all troop types. You've got all troop types in your city. It's just so many buffs. It's hard to ignore the power of that. And also, I think that we had a lot of infantry die this KvK, so I would guess, and I suppose we can verify this, I would guess that Ticklefist is probably a little bit light on infantry compared to certainly where he would have been at the start of the KvK. And in fact, if we just get a quick look over here, if we look at the balance of his troops, yeah, I mean, he's down to 4.7 million infantry, 8 million archers, 13 million calves. He's got some other troop tiers in here as well. But I'm showing this because, you know, Zenobia is going to give some infantry buffs. And I think that's a strong choice if your city is mostly infantry. But I think given that he's got all these other troop types, I think probably the YSS might have been the better pick in this instance. So now if we go to the next report, we'll check this one out. This just looks completely insane. This was the Attila Takeda that basically just suicided on a city. 0 power loss permanent for Ticklefist. 0 permanent power loss for Ticklefist. 8.1 million power loss for the attackers. That's 883,000 troops in that rally, where they sent the solo Attila Takeda. Also, of course, some AoE here. 2.4 million. Look at that. 2.4 million power loss. Just kind of standing in the AoE. 2.7 million power loss. I mean, they just put another 5 million power loss. That is like 50% more damage. Just from getting hit by AoE. Rough. Okay, up next. Next report is... looks like this is the Ramses Nebu, which ran very briefly, and then I think they canceled it. 0 dead troops for Ticklefist in this exchange. It's just hospital. And then 4.7 million power loss for that rally. That's 529,000 dead troops. Of course, a little bit of AoE, but doesn't look like it's hitting anybody. Okay, then we go to the next report. And this is why I think I'm missing a report. I think we'll have to look through here for when Tickle switches to the YSS. I don't know. Let's get a look at this and see here. This is where there's all those one troop marches getting hit by AoE. Also, I mean, some marches that were full. 695,000 dead for Ticklefist to the 1.7 million dead for the Nebu E-Song. 16.5 million power loss. The next rally, if we can find it among all of the one trooping, is going to be 1.3 million dead troops for Tickle. That's 14.1 million power loss, including some hospital fill. And that is 1.7 million dead troops for the Ralliers. 13.9 million power loss. That's all permanent. I mean, permanent. You get half back after KvK, right? If we look through here, and by the way, that's a Season of Conquest function. Here is the Guan Leo. Now, it does pretty well, but of course it's not tanking. I really feel like maybe the Herald would do better in this instance. You don't need the AoE. I mean, it's just designed to do single target damage. I think the silence from the Guan is pretty meaningful still. 889,000 dead for Ticklefist, representing 8.9 million power loss. And that is 866,000 dead for the rally. That's 7.1 million power loss. So this is their only trade that kind of goes positive here. Is it the only trade? I don't know. This is the first trade I noticed where they're going positive. And it's this fight that ran really long, where Ticklefist, his city got pretty low. That is where all the worst trades happening, which is why I think it just makes a ton of sense that is the point where Ticklefist popped the bubble. Here's a full march of, it must be T4s that got wrecked. Here's another one. That's a CPO. CPO spotted over here. Cruising through this list. Another march, 19,000 got hit. Cruising on through. I mean, I think this is all AoE. I'm looking for a captain swap in here. There's, no secondary. 186. This is why you got to bring a secondary, by the way. I mean, any defensive stats at all would mean you have less dead troops. Like, any secondary that would give you, like, some health or some defense would do the trick in this instance. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Is there more in this report? Probably not. I mean, this was pretty crazy. Ticklefist has been probably wanting to get rallied for quite some time. I probably would use some different combos if I were doing this. What would I do differently? I would have the Attila Takeda tank. I would probably use XY with Chandragupta, because even though Theodora's clearing debuffs, it doesn't matter. They're, like, still good enough debuffs to be worthy. Yeah. I mean, okay, so as I'm scrolling through these, you almost certainly noticed, let's see here, the good sportsmanship profiles. I mean, some of this stuff's kind of funny, but taking my picture and doing some funny stuff with it. I have to say, I mean, look, we've had KvKs where we had great relationships with the people we were battling against, and I'll say I'm in a KvK right now on my restart project where I have been on the receiving end of zero trash talk or toxicity. I mean, I just genuinely did not understand what toxic is until we battled against 114. I just have to say it. It's just, I didn't know what being toxic on the internet really looked like until we were playing against them. Gross. But that's all I'm going to say about that, because that's not really the point of this video. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, consider throwing a like on here and subscribing for those Rise of Kingdoms videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. And again, although we didn't win this KvK, that's fine. You don't win them all. You don't win them all, and this kingdom is just growing stronger and stronger, KvK over KvK. We've got about 200 people that are coming to Kingdom 75. It's going to be a huge migration in, and more keep asking if they can join us here. We're even in, you know, like some initial talks, and who knows if it's going to pan out, with a group that's like 50 to 100 people that might also come here. I mean, we're going to grow this kingdom and take bigger and tougher fights. So if you'd like to be a part of that, links in the description for our migration Discord. That migration's going to be happening as soon as this time around, so about 4 days from now, and you too can play on the same side as Ticklefist. Until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing the kingdom.